Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. So it has been over 2 years since the 7th and what is considered to be the final season of Star Wars The Clone Wars aired on Disney+. And some of you may or may not know this, but there are actually a total of 40 episodes that currently remain unfinished of the original Clone Wars. So what do I mean by this? Well, in 2013, Star Wars The Clone Wars was in its 5th season on Cartoon Network, and it was all of a sudden canceled by Disney. At this time, it was planned out that there would be a 6th, 7th, and 8th season to wrap up the series, with production being in the works on all 3 of those seasons. Season 6 was halfway done with the animation side, some voice lines were recorded for Season 7 and Season 8, and a lot of storyboarding and animation was done as well for these episodes. So then Disney decided to release half of Season 6 on Netflix as The Lost Missions, and then the other half of Season 6, all of Season 7, and all of Season 8 went unfinished as 52 canceled episodes. Obviously, as we all know, The Clone Wars came back for a 7th and final season back in 2020, and basically 12 of those 52 episodes were completed by Disney on Disney+. But as we stand today, 40 episodes of The Clone Wars still remain unfinished. Now, the interesting part of all of this is Pablo Hidalgo, the head of the Lucasfilm Story Group, has stated that even though these episodes haven't been released publicly, they are still considered by Lucasfilm to be canon. So when they are making new Star Wars stories, these episodes are being considered in their minds as having happened. So with all of that being said, like I said before, there are 40 episodes of The Clone Wars that remain unfinished. So today in this video, I wanted to break down to you guys each story arc that hasn't been finished. So since there's 40 episodes, there are a total of 9 arcs within those 40 episodes, because one of the arcs is actually 8 episodes long. So today I wanted to break down with you guys the 9 arcs that haven't been finished yet and why they should or should not be finished by Disney and Lucasfilm, because I do think that one day we will get more Clone Wars. I think honestly it's probably going to happen once the Bad Batch ends. But without further ado, let's get into the 9 arcs that haven't been finished. So the first of which is Star Wars Son of Dathomir, which was actually released as a comic book series, and basically this arc follows Darth Maul after he was captured in Season 5 by Darth Sidious. Essentially, Sidious wants to use Maul to draw out Mother Talzin, who is the leader of the Night Sisters. Basically, he wants to draw her out so that he can kill her, because he views her as a potential threat for when he takes over the galaxy after Order 66. Essentially, what happens is Maul ends up capturing Grievous and Dooku, and then the Jedi become involved because they think they could kill Grievous, Dooku, and Maul all together so that they could end the Clone Wars. So why should this arc be finished? Well, I think this one's pretty straightforward. When we see Maul at the point at which he's in Season 5 to when we see him in Season 7, there's a big part of that story missing. In Season 5, we see that he's captured by Sidious, and then in Season 7, we see that he's free and he's kind of ruling the underworld. So how do we get from point A to point B? And how we get there is Son of Dathomir, which is why Son of Dathomir needs to be finished and included in any potential Star Wars The Clone Wars revival. Next up, we have Crystal Crisis on Utapau, and this arc was actually revealed during a Star Wars Celebration event, and it was released as story reels, and so was the Bad Batch as well, which obviously eventually we got the Bad Batch in Season 7. But basically, this arc follows Obi-Wan and Anakin investigating the death of a Jedi Master on Utapau, and they uncover a secret Separatist weapon that is in the works that no one has ever seen before. Basically, during this arc, they discover that General Grievous is stationed on Utapau, and they don't know why, and they're trying to basically figure out what are the Separatists up to. It turns out that they're actually mining for kyber crystals. Now, why are they doing all of this? Well, this arc is showing Palpatine have General Grievous be, number 1, stationed on Utapau like he is in Episode 3, and number 2, the reason they're on Utapau is because they are mining kyber crystals for the Death Star. So why should this arc be finished? Well, like I said before, it shows why Grievous is on Utapau in Episode 3 and shows Palpatine preparing all these cyber crystals for the Death Star. So this story arc really connects a lot of the Star Wars story together, because it shows how Palpatine is planning out the Death Star development far in advance. We see him planning it in Episode 2, and this kind of further develops that, in that now he's actually gaining the materials to make it once he takes takes over the galaxy after Order 66 happens. Now, the next arc is Star Wars Dark Disciple, which is 8 episodes long, and it would have spanned across 2 seasons, so it would have been split up into 2 different arcs, and this was actually released as a novel a few years ago. So the summary of this plot is essentially Count Dooku orders the massacre of a bunch of refugees. Basically, he kills all of them, and this kind of raises the eyebrows of the Jedi Council, saying, we have to stop Count Dooku, number 1, to end this war, and number 2, because he's killing innocent people. So the Jedi send out Quinlan Vos and have him go with Asajj Ventress to go to kill Dooku. Now, the reason why this arc is so important is because towards the end of the arc, Asajj Ventress gets killed. So why should this arc be finished? Well, Asajj Ventress is one of the major characters in Star Wars The Clone Wars. She is one of the major villains of the initial seasons, and then obviously later on, she becomes somewhat of an anti-hero. She's not bad, she's not good, she's kind of just doing her own thing, but she's a major character, and I feel like to kind of, end season 7 where they did without addressing what happened to Ventress is really a disservice to the fans and a disservice to the characters. So this arc needs to be finished to fill in the details of this major character. Now, this was the last arc that was revealed, or rather released, in any official media, meaning the rest of the arcs we are about to talk about were only discussed to us at Star Wars Celebration with some clips shown and some concept art in some cases. So the first of these arcs is the Bounty Hunter arc, which would have followed Cad Bane and Boba Fett, where they were basically going on a rescue mission to Tatooine where some Tusken Raiders kidnapped a child. Basically, this arc would have shown that Cad Bane and Boba Fett have a bit of a rivalry. Basically, because Cad had a rivalry with Jango Fett, but since Jango Fett is dead, he's trying to basically reignite this rivalry with Boba to find out who is the better bounty hunter. In this arc, Cad Bane's new ship, the Justifier, would have been introduced, which is the ship he's using in the Bad Batch, and in addition to that, Cad Bane and Boba Fett have a standoff where they both shoot each other in the head at the same time, which causes Boba to get a dent in his helmet, which we see throughout the original trilogy and the beginning of the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. And in addition to that, Cad Bane gets shot in the head, which is why he has a metal plate on his head during the Bad Batch and the Book of Boba Fett. So why should this story arc be finished? Well, Cad Bane was presumed to be dead initially before, the Book of Boba Fett and Bad Batch happened, but now that we see him in both of those series, they keep referencing this fight. They show that he has that metal plate on his head. They keep having these standoffs between Hunter and Cad Bane in the Bad Batch, which is a reference and a callback back to the standoff with Boba and Cad. And then in the Book of Boba Fett, they do the same thing. Cad Bane and Boba have a standoff, and they even directly verbally reference the fight they had together back in the Clone Wars. This is another major arc that deals with the stories of 2 major characters that they need to tell in order to fill the gaps of both Cad Bane's story and Boba Fett's story. Now, the next arc follows the Bad Batch on Kashyyyk, where they team up with Master Yoda in order to help the Wookiees fight both the Trandoshans and the Separatists. Now, the Trandoshans, for those of you who don't know, they are the same species as the bounty hunter Bossk, who appears in the Clone Wars. Essentially, during the arc, the clones and the Wookiees need to find a common ground in order to defeat the Separatists, and apparently Chewbacca would have played a major role in this story. Now, the reason why this arc should be finished is because this arc was going to explain to us why the Wookiees helped Yoda in episode 3 during Order 66. If you guys recall, Yoda said at some point during episode 3 that he had a good relationship with the Wookiees, and this was going to explain why. Also, this involves the Bad Batch as well, which obviously they now have their own series, so this will add more to their characters as well. So that's why this arc should be finished. But moving on to the next arc was a Rex and R2-D2 Top Gun styled story. That's how it's described to us. Basically, this story was going to show the clone army get into arguments between the ground forces and the pilots along with their astromechs. Eventually, Rex would fly with R2-D2 in a starfighter, and basically they would crash and be stranded on one of the moons of Ryloth, where they would reprogram a B2 super battle droid to survive, basically, and that's all the details we got. So why should this arc be finished? And honestly, this is one of the ones where you could argue it doesn't need to be finished, because it doesn't really add anything to the overall story of Star Wars. It's just something that would have been cool and fun to see. Maybe it would add on how Rex knows how to fly a Y-Wing during the finale, but that's kind of a loose connection there, so this one doesn't necessarily need to happen. The next story arc was following the Yuzong Vong. Now, the Yuzong Vong, to give a little backstory first, they were a group of aliens that were in the old Legends comic book series that are no longer canon. So the summary of this story arc was that a Yuzong Vong scout ship was trying to assess the strength of the Republic and what the Jedi were. Pablo Hidalgo commented saying that this was going to be a creepy story that would have been like an X-Files episode with an alien abduction event in it. The Yuzong Vong would not have force immunity in this story like they do in the Legends comics, and this story would have never gotten into the origins of the Vong, but just that they were probably from another galaxy far, far away. So why should this arc be finished? Again, like the Rex Top Gun one, this arc really doesn't need to be finished. The only thing is that the Yuzong Vong are no longer canon, so maybe if they made this arc today, it would reintroduce them into the canon. But either that or this arc would just be scrapped all together because, you know, the Yuzong Vong aren't even a part of the Star Wars canon universe anymore. So the next arc is titled Return to the Jedi Temple, and basically this story would be about what lies beneath the Jedi Temple with a Sith shrine being underneath it. Basically, Ahsoka discovers a threat in the underworld of Coruscant, and she goes back to the Jedi Order to warn them about this threat. Presumably, we can assume maybe it's something about Order 66, but that's not confirmed. Basically, then Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Anakin set out to rescue Master Yoda from the Sith shrine that is beneath the Jedi Temple. The arc would have also featured Darth Sidious trying to break into the Holocron Vault at the Jedi Temple, but Ahsoka would stop him during his progress. So why should this arc happen? Well, this arc actually wouldn't be able to happen as it is currently constructed because in Season 7 of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka and Anakin and Obi-Wan state that that is the first time they saw each other since Ahsoka left the Jedi Order back in Season 5. Obviously, this arc takes place before all of that happens, so it wouldn't be able to happen because it just doesn't fit the canon anymore. So if this arc would be made, they would need to rework it completely in order to fit it into the current canon, meaning that either Ahsoka would have to be cut out of this arc or something else would need to occur. Another thing as well is apparently in the Tarkin novel, Vader states that he never knew there was a Sith temple beneath the Jedi Temple, which obviously if this arc actually happened, he would know that. So this arc probably would just be scrapped entirely or completely reworked, but I would say the former is probably more likely. And the last unfinished Star Wars The Clone Wars arc was titled Return to Mon Cala. Basically, it would have followed Padme Amidala working against Chancellor Palpatine's prolonged stay in office, because if you guys remember, Palpatine wasn't supposed to be in office as long as he was. He just got a longer stay in office because of the Clone Wars, which obviously he orchestrated. So basically, Padme and Anakin would return to Mon Cala to meet with King Lichar once again, who, if you guys remember, he was in Season 4, actually the premiere of Season 4, the first 4 episodes. While they're on Mon Cala, they find out that the leader of the Quarren, Nosari, was murdered. Someone named Tix, and I'm probably saying that wrong, was appointed as the provisional leader of the Quarren in Nosari's place. Padme wants to gain the Quarren's support to get Palpatine out of office, and that's essentially the entirety of the arc, at least what we know of it. So why should this arc be made? Well, there's really no reason to have it made other than it'd be nice to return to Mon Cala since it's a callback to Season 4, but the only issue is that Nosari dies in this arc, but there is a comic book series that takes place during the sequel trilogy of Star Wars where Nosari is actually alive and he actually gets killed during that comic book series. So obviously this arc no longer fits into the overall Star Wars story, the overall Star Wars canon, so it would either need to be reworked in a way that Nosari doesn't die, or it would just be canon entirely together, which I mean, it could be reworked. We could just say he's in a coma or something and he just can't rule right now, so that's not too hard to do. Those are all of the 9 Star Wars The Clone Wars arcs, all of the 40 episodes that have not been finished. Obviously, as I stated before, not all of these episodes need to happen. Not all of these episodes can happen as they're currently constructed, but I would argue that 24 out of the 40 episodes that haven't been made need to be made in order to basically tie the entire Star Wars story together and to kind of fill in the details of some of our fan favorite characters from the Clone Wars, since characters like Ventress kind of just got left in the dust with Season 7. Her character was not addressed at all whatsoever. whatsoever. In addition to that, Darth Maul went from being captured in season 5 to being basically a crime lord in season 7. They need to show what happens in between there. So like I said before, I think that 24 out of these 40 episodes need to happen, which that's basically like one full season of the Clone Wars back in the day. They could break it up into 2 seasons on Disney Plus, but basically it's not that hard for them to do. Most of the work is done here because most of the animation has at least been started, if not close to being completed. Obviously it would need to be tweaked because, 2012 animation is different from 2022 animation. A lot of the voice actors recorded their lines for them. So a lot of the work is done here, so it would not be hard for Disney Plus, for Lucasfilm to get these finished and released on Disney Plus. Now the question of the day, do I think that these episodes will air on Disney Plus? And yes, I do think so. I think 100% that one day these episodes will air, or at least some of them will air on Disney Plus. I think the Clone Wars will return. When will that happen? That's the better question. They're working on the Bad Batch right now. They're working on Tales of the Jedi. I feel like the Clone Wars won't happen for a couple of reasons. Number one, Dave Filoni is just extremely busy right now. He's working on a lot of different series. So I feel like this show, the Star Wars The Clone Wars, let's say they make 2 more seasons of it with 12 episodes each, I think it probably won't happen until the Bad Batch ends, because that frees up more time of both Dave Filoni and the animation group to actually work on this series. Although, like I stated before, a lot of the work is done already. They just need to complete it, because before it wasn't completed because of the series cancellation. So before I sign off, I just wanted to say one other thing, is that the reason the Clone Wars came back in the first place was because of hashtag Save the Clone Wars and the fan involvement of basically people asking nicely, hey, can you guys please finish the Clone Wars because we really want to see what happens. So I would say if you guys want to see the Clone Wars completed, use the hashtag Complete the Clone Wars. This is a hashtag that people have been using for a few years now, and if you guys want to see the Clone Wars completed like I do, use the hashtag Complete the Clone Wars in a respectful manner towards, Dave Filoni, Lucasfilm, and the other people at Star Wars and Disney, just to let them know that, hey, these are some stories that we want to see on Disney Plus, and hopefully one day they do hear us and they actually release these stories on Disney Plus. And honestly, I truly do believe that they will, because Star Wars The Clone Wars was such a popular series. It was so popular that they brought it back for an additional 12 episodes in season 7, which was so popular that it actually broke some of the records at the time for Disney Plus's premiere dates. The ratings were through the roof. So hopefully they do bring it back at some point, and I truly do think they will. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all of this. I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a while, so I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know it's a little bit longer than usual, but let me know also what episodes of these 40 episodes would you want to see made? What story arcs would you want to see, and what story arcs would you maybe not want to see? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.